But I want to start tonight with some of the very strange behavior we are seeing from the president. Look, we all know that Donald Trump has always been far, far from a normal guy. That's one way of describing it. I mean, his behavior is often erratic. His public statements can be completely bizarre. And at times he doesn't seem to know what is going on inside his own government. But recently it seems like he is, well, not at all okay, I guess is one way to describe it. Let me show you what I mean. Yesterday, Trump attended an AI summit in Pittsburgh. And within 10 minutes of taking the microphone, he launched into an utterly strange digression about his uncle and the notorious domestic terrorist of all people, Ted Kaczynski, better known as the Unabomber.
My uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever. He was the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was? There's very little difference between a madman and a genius. But Kaczynski, I said, what kind of a student was he, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump? He said, what kind of a student? And then he said, seriously good. He said he'd go around correcting everybody, but it didn't work out too well for him.
I love the look on the face of the guy next to him. You can sort of see in that video. But again, to sum that up, Trump says his uncle taught the Unabomber at MIT, and apparently the question of all the possible questions Trump asked him was what kind of a student Kaczynski was. And then he felt the need to share the detail that the Unabomber was a good student to some perplexed people. And yes, that's a pretty weird, pretty creepy thing for the president of the United States, or really anyone to say at an event that was supposed to be about artificial intelligence. But it gets weirder because the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, never attended MIT. And while Trump did have an uncle who worked at MIT, his uncle died in 1985, which is a full 11 years before the Unabomber was publicly identified and apprehended. So I guess either Donald Trump is confessing to having known the identity of the Unabomber more than a decade before he was caught. There could be that, I suppose. Or something is seriously off with Donald Trump. And that's not a one-off. That is hardly the only incident. I mean, today reporters in the Oval Office asked Donald Trump about new reporting that he has floated the idea of firing Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. And this is how he responded.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. Were you? Were you really surprised he was appointed? The person who nominated him for that job was you, Donald Trump. It was you. Trump picked Jerome Powell to run the Fed during his first term. There they are, right there, being announced.